Königssee, Bavaria, the oldest ice track in the artificial world, and it is the venue for round 11 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a slightly sleety morning here in the Bavarian Alps, just outside the town of Viesturs. Martin Haven and John Morgan getting ready for the penultimate two-man race of an epic 12-race season. Well, John, this Königssee track, whatever the weather, is going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, Martin, we saw the woman's skeleton yesterday. One of the best races in my career, which goes back a few decades. But it's the track, it's the persona of the track. Del Bardis, he's in the field today. He owns the track record. That's from 2011, almost over a decade ago. 4 S's. Here's the first. 1, 2, 3. This is like an amusement park ride. 4. But this is where it gets serious. This long, not a straightaway, bend away. You got to hit once, twice, 3. Now you hope you set yourself up for this Kreisel. And boy, you have to exit out of here with a pretty good line. If not, you'll be penalized your time or you'll crash. And then into the Echo Bond, and you got to go uphill. This is 2 corners uphill. A lot of time lost. I call that the graveyard section. Friedrich and Vargas, they own the track record. Not surprising, they're in the field. I don't know if we'll see track record today, Martin, but if it's anything like yesterday, it's going to be great.
Well, it could be pretty exciting. We've got 24 sleds, as you say, unlikely to be track record conditions, but it has been like greased lightning all week. Francesco Friedrich, our World Cup points leader from the hometown hero, Johannes Lochner. Mikkel Vogt is one of a number of drivers who's not here. Ralf Berzins and a few others are doing the Junior World Championships, so they stayed on in Samaritz. So there are some new names to conjure with in our field, and 24 sleds, including for the first time this year, the Koreans who are back. Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco was training, but is not in today's race. He was training in the two-man. He sat in, he had a brakeman pushing him and somebody pushing on the front handles as well to give him speed at the start to make it realistic, but clearly he is not fit enough to race. Well, there's Johannes Lochner, happy as ever despite the less than glorious Bavarian weather. Today is the bad weather day, I'm afraid. Tomorrow should be clear, bright and fast again. But as you can see, we are definitely in the clouds. Well, Russia's Alexei Stulnev kicks off the show. Then Shanwen Stevens of Jamaica, he's back doing his 2nd World Cup race, had a crisp spring. And then we get into the top 10 in our World Cup. Apache Baumgartner, Johannes Lochner, the hometown hero. Francesco Friedrich. Friedrich, a 4-time winner on this track in the last 4 years, plus 1 previously. But he says there are 15 tracks he would rather drive than this one. Nevertheless, he's going to drive it. Ready then for the start of race 11 of 12 of an epic endurance feat of two-man racing this season. It's been fantastic to see these two-man bobs in action so many times this year. First up, Alexei Stulnev of Russia, finished in 14th place here in last year's race. He's got Maxim Belugin behind him, making his 89th World Cup start in 2- and 4-man.
Well, I think he might be one of the most experienced brakemen in the field. Stulnev just isn't coming forward with two-man results, Martin.
Yeah, he's not got the greatest start in two-man, 5:08. That is 3/10 away from the all-time start record. We should see starts perhaps down in the 480s.
21st in St. Moritz last week, didn't even make the cut in the 2nd run, which is very disappointing to a, 12th, 14th, 15th place finisher in his career. But he's got the best ice to work with, and of course all the number ones. Ooh, that's not great. You see the Omega finish line there. Didn't hit across that perfectly, but he's the rabbit. He's through and down. 50.35 to the record. Martin, that's 1 second and 41 hundredths off the pace. I don't think we're going to see the record.
Yeah, not as quick as they were going in training, I don't think, either.
No, they were flying in training. You're going to see sleds into the 49s. This is pretty much a norm to hit 3 times, but not skid in between the hits like that. And then down the uphill section, he wasn't too bad. The graveyard, I don't think this is good though. Now watch, he comes skidding into the finish curve, and his exit out of finish curve, he hit before the finish line. Not good.
Skidding everywhere. Next up, Shanwen Stevens. The only race he has done here is an inter-services race. He races for the Royal Air Force. He's a member of the Royal Air Force. And then their times are in the 52s. Matthew Wekpe behind him, plays rugby sevens for Jamaica. 3rd World Cup start for these 2 guys. They crashed twice in the lower labyrinth in training, so they are hoping just to get down clean, and these snowy conditions aren't going to speed the track up much.
Well, they're probably one of the few in the field that don't mind the snow on the track, slowing it up. He's still learning, cutting his eye teeth on getting down. I mean, this is in Innsbruck where we saw him compete before Christmas. You know, that's how not to do it. But let's watch his lining. Kreisel, how many pressure points?
Yeah, the key here is getting out in one piece. Nicely done.
Well, he's good there.
Well, they're using thinner runners. The trend now is for big fat runners for speed, for a wider contact patch. He's using thin runners. He wants to get down because, John, the only thing you learn from a crash is that it hurts, and they already know that. So for them, getting down and trying to make the second heat is what today is all about.
Yeah, that's a thrill. I mean, there's that old bobsledding was about man against the mountain. You didn't care about your time. You got to the bottom, and then you asked about your time. You just wanted to get to the bottom. I think these guys are in that man against the mountain race today. This is the exit of the 4 S's. He's a little late, and then he causes him a skid. He tries to steer out of the skid, but he skids for 100 meters. You see him trying to check the runners. You can't check the runners. Just go hit the wall and keep the runners straight, take your medicine, move on. And then here in the graveyard, he's too flat. Couple taps, couple skids. Boy, you skid going uphill.
Yeah, the boys are down, and there's the lucky egg.
There's the egg.
Do you know what? I think the egg might have got a couple of kisses for luck this morning, just in case. Next up, Chris Spring, and it is looking like it is starting to snow properly now. Mike Evelyn behind him, his 2nd World Cup starting 2-man. This is Spring's 54th 2-man World Cup race.
96 start, best start of the 3 sleds so far, but it's still 2100s off the record held by Mel Bardis and Danvers. But the Springer, he's been down this track a few times. I don't see him in the medal sheet at all. In 2-man, he might have 1 in 4-man, but 3/10 up. Good
Best
lines.
race here for Chris Spring, an 8th place finish in 2014. So a top 10 would be a huge result.
3100's back, flopped off the 12 curve. 3000's pretty good. 50.05. You know, getting closer to, you know, a couple sleds.
Well, it's all very well asking it to snow a little bit more now your guy's down, but that's not necessarily going to allow the race to continue.
Martin, a couple years ago, they had to cancel the race. Too much snow here. Remember that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we had a tourist day, didn't we? A couple of years ago, there was no skeleton race.
Yeah. Yeah. Too much snow on the roofs. Well, here's how to do it. You know, you're going to see some airborne sleds. A couple sleds crashed there training. Here, little air and a skid in the uphill section, Chris, and he flops here too. That's not perfect. You know, and then he has a little bit of waver on the finish.
Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco, by the way, is one of the spur bobs this weekend. It goes down before the competition to test the timing eyes and so on. It is sleeting much more heavily at the start than it is pretty much anywhere else, isn't it? That foreshortening effect of that long camera makes it look a little denser than it is. Our Youth Olympic champion from 2012 now, Apache Baumgartner. Only one World Cup here. He was 24th in 2015, so it's 6 years since he's raced World Cup on this track.
Well, the former skier. His brakeman's one of the many decathletes in the field. Oh, there's our sweepers. Yep. Now the Disney Park ride of the Königssee track. Good exit there. 2600s back. Well, that's relative to beat by 1500s at the start. Second best speed, decent. I mean, he's been driving for a decade, Martin. Watch out here, watch out. Get out of that a little too early in that first early tap there in the doodles. Good exit there, 4/10 back, third best speed. And he's a third place run. Behind Stolnev by 1500s.
Well, that should see him somewhere around the top 15, maybe. We'll wait to see what the rest of the field produce. Alex Virginer, the brakeman there, very ambitious on the brakes early, wasn't he? But it's only his 5th two-man World Cup, and in fact, it's only his 2nd trip in a sled this season.
Okay, now watch this little top of the track. Right there, you see that? You see that sign there? You want to start thinking about getting out of the curve. Look at his runner tips, came out too early. And that little bang there throws him over on the left, which causes you to get a little thinking that I'm a little late and I could hit this final ice wall, but he missed it.
Well, next up in his 40th World Cup two-man race is local hero Johannes Lochner from nearby Viesturs, 30 years old, was the world champion here in 4-man, bronze medalist in 2-man as well in 2017. And Hansi, according to Friedrich, knows every centimetre of this track. 31-year-old brakeman Eric Franke. It's only his 8th two-man World Cup race.
He's a 4-man guy, 493 start. Well, Hansi, you know his season. 2, 3, 4, he won 5, 6, 7. He's only been off the podium one time with a 5th in the 3rd Segulda race. You know, you expect to see green numbers here.
Any nation apart from Germany, you would be a superstar, wouldn't you? He is a superstar in Germany, but there's an even better one coming up next.
4 or 5 tenths. Yeah, he's going to get this out to 1500s probably.
So 49.45 is the mark.
6 tenths. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting down there closer to that record, but we're still a half second away from it. And I think the guy coming down next might. Sorry. The guy next could probably get within 20 hundredths of it, but I think the snow is just going to prevent the record time at the bottom. Watch the arms here from Eric. Then he goes in and buries that 6'2" frame. Little drift there at the start. Little drift here. Not much you can say or criticize this run, but you would expect it on a guy who's born and raised. Yeah, he's born and raised right down like a mile down the street.
Eric Franke keeping his helmet on there. Hansi cut his hair last night, and as a barber, he makes a pretty good bobsledder. Not sure he's got a future in cutting hair. Francesco Friedrich next up, our World Cup points leader. 48 race wins. He could round it out to 50 this weekend. 2017 2- and 4-man world champion here. The first of 4 straight 2-man wins on this track. 4:83, that's a 10th quicker than Lochner. He's won here 4 times with Torsten Margis behind him, once with Martin Grotkopp, Martin back home, still not quite fit enough to race.
Ooh, it's 3 pretty hard hits. As expected, the best speed. You know, and this, another decathlete, but this time in the front seat. He's got a 1900s lead, probably get it out to 2500s. The way he's going. He has the fastest speed here, maybe 3000s. Oh, it's down to 11. He's got the fast speed. He wasn't that great from Kreisel. Only 500s. If I'm Lochner, I like that.
Yeah.
They said he had the fastest speed in the bottom, but he couldn't have because Lochner closed the gap.
Yeah. Well, 49.40 and 49.45. We have a race on our hands. Well, he may not like the track. It's probably his least favorite of them all, but he certainly knows how to get down here quick, doesn't he? And, you know, this is part of his attitude. I don't like the place. I'm just going to have to work even harder to try and beat Hansi at home.
Yeah, but he's done pretty good on this track. I mean, I'm looking at the previous winners. Friedrich, Lochner.
Yeah.
And then Young from Korea won, and then Friedrich. So he's won 5 of the last 7 here. I think that's a pretty good record. Boy, I wish I didn't.
It's a pretty decent record.
Was that successful?
Well, the last time this man was in the medals was back in December 2015, with Daumann Streiskens behind him, took silver behind Francesco Friedrich. Oskars Melbardes and Mats Miknes behind him. 73rd two-man World Cup start. 9 of them as a brakeman. The rest, the other 62 as a driver for the 32-year-old Latvian man.
Very experienced Latvian man with gold medals, silver, bronze medals in the Olympics. First Latvian to achieve those results. And, you know, he's a decathlete in the front seat. We got a basketball player in the back. You know, Melbardes might be in the twilight of his career, doesn't get the starts. He used to dominate the start. In fact, he owns the start record, Martin, from 2011. And he's just looks like another day at the office for him. Half second back. Looks like a top 3 run. See if he gets through the graveyard without any kind of incident. 5100's back, second best speed. Looks pretty much pedestrian third.
Yeah, some big gaps opening up between the top 2 and the rest of the field. Well, Melbardes has 2 silver medals. The first of them, the most recent of them, behind Francesco Friedrich, ahead of Nico Walter. Back in 2012-13, he was beaten to the gold by Lyndon Rush in the 2-man. Francesco Friedrich took the bronze that day. That was Francesco's rookie season. Well, for all his experience here, not getting the exit right there, was he, from the S's?
He's checking runners too, but that definitely cost him 2 or 3 tenths. Well, he's hurt. Maybe hurt his hamstring.
Yeah. It's a little
looks like
worry
a hamstring.
there. Could be. He's not the youngest in the field.
Not what you want. Not what you want going into the last couple weeks of the season.
Simon Friedli next up for Switzerland. 2 World Cup medals, a silver and a bronze in 2-man, both of them in Sigulda. He was 8th here in 2020's race. Previous best, 9th with Rico Peter as his driver. So he's done better as a driver here than he did as a brakeman. Adrian Fessler behind him, 28 years old, in his 7th 2-man World Cup race.
Football player. Really
this is Friedli's.
I didn't realize he was a 100-meter hurdler. Track and field background. Of course, he was a pusher for a few years. Watch out, that's not good. And he gets away with it. Looks a little forgiving down there. I hope I don't jinx anybody.
Pretty sure you have already.
It wasn't?
Just even thinking it.
Well, what happened in the skeleton race yesterday, Martin, that made me think that we could see some action out here today.
I think maybe tomorrow, trying to get the women's bobsleds and especially the four-man threaded down through that labyrinth is going to be pretty busy. Today it is a little bit more, well, not pedestrian, but certainly a little easier on the sleds than it was earlier in the week.
Little high there, one of the highest lines we've seen so far. So he starts to dive. And when he dives out, does he hit the right, sorta? No, it doesn't look like he hits, and he gets through what the Canadian women named the Doodles. And it's a doodle. Martin, it wasn't much difference in that when I was sliding back in my day. It's pretty much the same persona. It was
going to be very familiar to a lot of sliders, isn't it? Next up, Germany's Christoph Harper, the 28-year-old, in his 15th two-man World Cup race. His last race on this track, though, was Europa Cup back in 2017 in a two-man, 2018 Europa Cup race in a four-man. One medal in his career, Sigulda in 2019. He got a bronze in the two-man race there. Christian Hammers behind him, 28-year-old making his sixth two-man World Cup start.
Another guy that came from luge, Martin.
It's interesting, if you're a German, you start off in luge, the field is just as difficult to make in bobsleigh as it is in luge. I'm not quite sure why or when you make that choice. Maybe he just got poached.
Well, you know, you would think you have to have a calm demeanor to drive these sleds. You'd be able to slow things down. In his bio, he writes, "I can fall asleep everywhere and at any time." So I think
that is one of
himself as a very calm individual.
Being able to fall asleep anywhere is one of God's greatest gifts for those who spend their life on the road, isn't it? I was reading Melissa Lottholz's biography, and she said, "My luggage lives in Toronto." Or Calgary, rather. You know, that's the life they lead, you know, 6 months on the road. And if you can fall asleep in an airport lounge, in the back of a van, or any, that's genius. That is absolutely fantastic. So, Christoph Harper down in fourth place.
Yeah, it was only 300ths out of Melbardis in third. So we have three Germans in the top four. Not surprising. I don't know. We got Benny Meyer coming up. I don't know how many more people are going to alter that lineup. Cripps.
Well, Sebastian, our DJ, playing a little bit of walk-on music for Roman Heinrich. This is Plastic Bertrand, famously a Belgian punk. Roman Heinrich of France, 30 years old, with Dorian Hauteville behind him. Hauteville from Lyon. Roman Heinrich from near La Plagne, from Moutier.
Couple top 10 finishes in his season so far, Martin, but hasn't made the breakthrough into a, you know, a fifth or a sixth. Rushed onto the scene and right after the games, boy, he accelerated fast, Martin, and ran into some injuries. The World Championships up in Whistler, a couple crashes there in 19 and didn't compete, but you know, his equipment shows he's got some good speed on the bottom. Gets beat up at the start a little bit. Sixth best start so far, which isn't bad today. But looks like he's a top 7 here, which wouldn't be too bad. In fact, a pretty complete run. 7,500s back. Only 300s behind Friedel. Friedel beat him by 500s at the start. So this is pretty much chalk.
Finished 12th here last year, but the year before he was in 4th place. And that's the season, 2018-19, where we really thought, okay, he has cracked it.
He's coming out.
And the medals haven't flowed. He got a silver medal in Lake Placid in that season. The only two-man World Cup medal.
I think that was the year that Rudy Rinaldi was also in the top 2 or 3 in Lake Placid.
Yeah,
I don't know if he medaled.
It was him, Rinaldi, and Dominic Dvorak. That season, the post-game season, we really thought, okay, these guys are now going to cut it. And they've
making
all
their
just
mark.
kind of, yeah, they've hit the glass ceiling, haven't they? 10 sleds down, 14 to go. Apache Baumgartner and Shanwen Stevens at the tail of the field. We're watching with interest to see if they get a second heat. Next up, Oskars Kippermanis of Latvia finished in 5th place in the race here last year. He's had World Cup
to see him back.
Wins in, yeah. And he was, the Latvian team were late leaving for this part of the season, and he was not in Winterberg or St. Moritz, so I wonder whether he was one of those who tested positive.
Well, something must have happened, Martin, because the guy who usually gets the 2nd or 3rd best starts is posted the 8th best start and well off the pace. So his
brakeman
success.
His brakeman Intars Dambis is the guy who was with Oskars Melbardis when they set the start record here in 2011. Intars Dambis today making his 104th 2-man and 4-man World Cup start. That's quite some mileage he's got.
Huh? The Latvians keep their brakemen, boy. They keep those guys for 2 decades. 8,
yeah, you know,
best
I don't know what the contract is.
I know. The brakemen, they stay around up in Latvia.
And they stay healthy. I don't know what they're feeding them, what's in the water, what's in the genes. But, you know, I think Intars Dambis made his first World Cup race back in 2008. Kippermanis was out with, I believe, a leg injury from Ken Childs watching.
Look at this, the skidding. He didn't hit, there he hit, but you know, you can hit once and then hit down near the end of the straight, bend away, and he didn't even barely, he was skidding all the way down, and I don't think that was the line that you wanted.
Smile on his face, though. Well, I'm sure he's glad to be back. Smile on this young man's face as well. 26-year-old Russian Rostislav Gajtukovic, 9th World Cup race here. He did Europa Cup here before, and he was a bronze medalist in the Junior Worlds here in 2019. This is his first World Cup start in Königssee, and he's got big Ilya Malik behind him.
Yeah, he's another veteran of the field. He's been around for a decade.
And the Russians are swapping brakemen in and out on a daily basis. Everybody gets to race, everybody stays fit, and nobody is assigned to one driver only. So they're trying to make sure that everybody feels that they're getting a fair crack at the whip. 2nd best start, John, and he's drifting away a little. His lack of knowledge of the track is catching him up.
Still a top 10, I would think. 7th or 8th looks like, right? Best speed. Boy, he doesn't have anything very good. 78, there's a couple people right there. He's 300s behind the French, Mr. Heinrich. 600s behind Friedel. Not great, but the 2nd best start time, you shouldn't be an 8th. But
no, but 600s out of 6th, which would sound a lot better, wouldn't it? 6th place sounds so much better than 8th place.
Good as brakeman, basketball player.
Yesterday they had to guess what the weather was going to be like today and choose their runners. So not everybody is going to get the runner choice exactly right. He might have gone for runners that are just a little thinner than the conditions dictate. Of course, that assumes you've got a big choice of runners. Quite a lot of them will have a choice of either the fats or the thins. Look at Ilya Malik. He is just a huge animal in the back of that sled.
Is that the same sled he was driving the last couple of weeks? Wasn't he driving an orange sled, Martin?
He had the yellow and black one a couple of times, but that's been... Stilnev's driven that, the girls have driven that. Well, next up, Dominic Dvorak, 10th place, tied for 10th place here last year, the man from Prague. 2 4th place finishes in his World Cup career. One of them was in race 1 in Eagles. He lies 4th in our season's World Cup standings. He is having such a strong year.
Had a little mishap in training in the 4-man. Then the next trip he came out with his 2-man.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to watch him in the 4-man tomorrow. Boy, he's already 2/10 down, 8th best start, 99. Martin, he's not getting the starts he got a couple years ago when I thought, wow, this 10.900 meter sprinter sitting in the front seat starts, he's going to be competitive. But of course, injuries take their toll. It's tough to maintain.
And it's hard to spot sometimes on the start line when a driver is injured because he still looks like he's got it.
Decent speed coming into the finish, 7th, 73. There's a bottleneck of people.
Yeah, isn't there?
72 is Friedel, 73 Dvorak, 75 Heinrich, Tukovic.
78 Guy Tukovic,
78.
yeah. 4 sleds covered by 600s, so that's a big sort out already shaping up for Heat 2.
Hey, yesterday in the men's skeleton, there was 4 sleds separating, or 6 sleds by 900s, the top 6.
Yeah.
And that was another great race. So hit, go straight.
Another barn burner.
Yeah, it was. The women's race, I rank right up there as one of the top 5 ever. Bob and skeleton that I've done. Right up there.
Next up, Great Britain's Brad Hall, 30 years old. He has got Greg Cackett behind him. 1 race in Eagles in the 2-man for Greg before Christmas, and then he subbed for Sam Blanchett, who ruptured his Achilles 10 minutes before they were due to start in St. Moritz. So Cackett back in the sled. 6th place here in last year's race for Brad Hall, his best ever in Königssee.
Good start. See how he gets through this amusement park ride section of the track. And he's going to have to hit once. That's good. Twice. That little 3rd time, that's not bad. He kicks straight. Top 8 speed to be what he would look for. No speed on the sled. And he's doing pretty good here, Martin. He's hanging out in the top 4. Top 3 speed
Good-looking
here.
run.
We'll see speed.
Well, these guys have been looking for a break all year long.
Wow, top 3. 4th.
Yeah, 4th at the line.
100.
Well, there's their coach, Matthias Burmer, who normally works here in Königssee. So if there are some tricks, then he will know them. These guys need a break so badly. Brad just keeps breaking brakemen. You know, he snapped Sam Blanchett last weekend. He keeps breaking them. They just need a little bit of a break to put the smile back on their faces.
5th best start, 4th best finish. I think you might see the only other person going to get in there, Benny Meyer, and this guy Cripps from Canada. Everybody else, well, Juan. Young Jung Won hasn't, you know, he won on this track before, but his 2-man performance has fallen off since he peaked about 2015.
Get well soon,
Good lines.
Get well soon, very soon.
Yeah, it's a long. It's not a long list of hello, mum and dad. It's a long list of all the brakemen he's broken. Get well soon, boys. Benny Meyer next up with Christian Hoover. No, it's not gone with Marcus Sammer today. No, it's not gone with Marcus Sammer. Young Christian Hoover gets his 7th 2-man World Cup start. Well, strictly, actually only his 6th, because he was due to be in race 4 in Innsbruck, but Benny pulled out on race morning. So, European bronze medalist in Winterberg.
Top 3 starts.
Yeah.
They're getting top 3 starts, so let's see what the backup brakeman can produce. Not bad.
95, that's good.
That'll work.
Well, Brad Hall just drove himself into 4th place from there.
And the way this guy's been driving, medals in Winterberg, a couple weeks ago at the Europeans, medals in St. Moritz, 7th best speed. low there.
Do you think
Best speed though.
having the Francesco Frugic sticker, is that giving him something in speed? Great run from Benny Meyer, driving himself into a podium spot at the moment. Third fastest, third on the split times, and at the line, he is in third.
Third.
There's the
4100
Yovo.
Wolfgang Stauffer. Wolfgang is loving the season. Wasn't having too much fun the last few years,
Yeah.
but Catherine Beerle's winning. She's top of the World Cup. He's winning medals. What do you got
And
there?
a healthy
Gigi's
Benny.
Playhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
healthy
I guess
Benny
everybody should
and
go out and have a
healthy
baby.
Katrin.
Yeah.
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 Well, and get fit, and get healthy. And that's the secret, isn't it? As you said about, remaining healthy, it's so much a part.
But if he could have a
Especially
backup
in the
brakeman come
two-man.
out here, Sommer might have given him a little bit more, a little bit more, but he's done good here. I mean,
Yeah.
he's done great all season, I thought he was going to get a little distracted when he had that baby, but
Love you guys.
I think that has rounded him out. Next up is Ivo de Bruin. Ivo de Bruin, sorry boys in the truck, 34 years old, Dutch driver. Janko Francic, his 26-year-old brakeman. This is Janko's 12th World Cup start. He's done 9 of this season's 10 races already. So they are flogging him to death in the two-man. Oh!
he's flogging himself right there. That's a, wow. That's a sideways, when you're trying to accelerate. And this guy's got experience. Too bad here. Let's see what he does on the graveyard.
Right, he's got experience. He's had 14 races here, including 7 World Cups and a World Championships. Comes down in 15th place. Should be enough to make the race.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he's going to beat.
Well, he's got
two Koreans here.
Jamaica's
One of the
Shanwen
Americans for
Stevens
sure.
behind him.
He's
Yeah.
going to beat one of the Americans.
Well, he needs
Michael
to worry
Cronin from
about.
St. Moritz. I don't know.
Yeah, he needs to worry about Tricle.
I think he's
needs
going to be
worry
right in the
about
bubble.
Cripps.
Yeah.
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 This is going to be a tough
Cripps
field
gonna
to
go
make,
by him.
especially. Look at that.
I think Cripps is going to go by him, and I think Bascu's going to go by him, and I think Swan's going to go by him.
Well, the form
I don't know if
Cripps is in.
Lavendine's going to get him.
Cripps could be top 3
Cripps
after
gonna go
this
by a
round.
lot.
That's cursing him right
Cripps
now,
got a
isn't
little
it?
history. Yeah.
Frischik and
You did
Lochner
it, not
lead.
me.
Meyer, Melbardis and Hall battling for bronze. 16 sleds down. Next up, Markus Treichel of Austria with Markus Gluck behind him. 15 races Markus Treichel has had here in his career here in two-man and 19 in four-man, so he does know the Königssee track. Best result here, 11th place 2 years ago. Last year when he was injured, 21st. This year he is still not fully fit, is he? They've been struggling with the starts.
It's Gerhard Rayner in the back, longtime Austrian pilot and coach, mechanic, and probably #1 supporter. And the 12th best speed there. Hopes to maintain 12 the rest of the way down the track. 13th best start of 17 sleds. 2 bangs, 3 bangs, 4 bangs, 5 bangs. That bangs up your time. Not bad speed though. Let's watch his exit. Right on. Good lines.
He's getting very close to that log jam that's hovering around 10th place with Dvorak, Heinrich, Gajtukovic, and Friedli, and
Dutch.
across the line, 12th. He's right
Not
in
bad.
there as well. Yeah.
Wolfgang will take that. He'll take that. Better than what he's been doing. 13th best start, 12th best finish. There's all the fans cheering on.
Yeah. Yeah. All little personalized messages and photos of friends and family from back home.
this was worth 20 hundredths that would have put him up 3 or 4 spots. Even 10 hundredths would have put him up 3 spots. He's close. He's in that 70s logjam. There's 5 sleds in the 70s back.
That's the median, is it? Right in the middle. Next up, Lamindine of Great Britain with Joel Fearon. 5 years since Joel Fearon has pushed with Lamindine. Pete Gunn at the back of the sled. So 32-year-old Joel joins 39-year-old Lamindine. Lamindine, a boxer in the army, and claims to be the greatest table tennis player in the Bobsleigh World Cup. He's only had 3 two-man World Cup races here. His best, 18th place in January 2015. Joel only did 1 two-man race last year. That was in Innsbruck with Tino Rona.
Oh, I don't like the way he jumps in there, but that's his signature.
Yes, it is.
You know, in the start time, 14th best start. That puts a lot of pressure on the guardian of the queen to have a good run. That was not a good way to exit the 4 S's. Not too bad in the bend away. 8th best speed, considering the 14th best start. He's motoring. And here in the doodles, he had some air in the back runner. Made it a little exciting. Graveyard, second back. Looks like he's sentencing himself to about 16th, yeah. So he will make the cut, Martin.
Yep.
But
well, he's only got 2 behind him, and there are going to be 4 that don't. So we'll wait and see, but that should be good enough. But it does leave Ivo de Bruin and Shanwen Stevens in the danger zone. So Lamindine and Joel Fearon back together after 5 years apart. It's like the Rolling Stones. Almost as old. Sorry, I didn't say that, Lamin. Never mess with the guardsman.
Look at the back runner. Back runner, airborne. When you start getting air like that, Lamin,
well, you'll
get
know
away
that
with it in the 2-man.
You know the guardsmen with their big, tall, black bearskin hats that stand outside all the royal palaces and so on guard? When Lamin was a young guardsman, he once taped a mobile phone inside a colleague's hat, bearskin and rang it every 10 minutes for 2 hours. Next up, Justin Cripps, silver medalist here last year with Cam Stones behind him.
3rd best start, as expected. Cripps. We haven't said this yet about him this year, the international man of mystery. I'm sure his parents are watching.
Not sure if he's trimmed any of his passport collection yet, but yeah, 3 different nationalities.
Only 19. This is on the numbers for the 2nd best finish. He's won on this track. He's won all sorts of medals on this track.
Yep.
3100s back. Yeah, he's dripped to 3rd. A little bit behind Lochner, but he can catch him here in the bottom. Cripps has always found fast lines on this track. Including winning.
4800s back, 700s out of the medals. You get the sense with Justin Cripps that he has been so frustrated in the first half of the season that he's just coming out and killing it in the second part, now that he can finally get racing.
Yeah, he's coming late in the heat. You know, Benny Mayer just did a couple sleds ago too, so gets real high there in the, really high up there in the Kreisel, and he dives out of Kreisel in a proper line. Very nice.
Yeah.
And does his back runners, look at this, his back runners are, you know, engaging.
A little late there, but that'll
like
do.
That.
In the hunt for the medals again.
More equal ice in the second run. I predict he'll move into the medal position.
Cripps silver medalist in the last 2 races here. Cody Bascu hasn't had a World Cup race here since 2019. His best result here was his debut race, in fact. He was 15th in 2015. He's got Chris Horn behind him in his 6th two-man World Cup race. This is only Chris's 2nd in Europe. He was in Winterberg.
Horn, another decathlete in the field. University of Massachusetts, he's a big unit. I got to find out what his point score is, because the best athlete in the field is Thorsten Margus with about 7,400, I think. I got to research that a little bit more, but
get back onto that again.
I think Horn, Horn has got it. So these guys are down with the 10th best start.
Really good run so far. He is up to 4th on the splits coming into the Kreisel. 10th best speed, little steer coming out to correct as he came into Kehlstein. This could be a really big run for Cody Bascu.
Yeah,
top 5, top 6.
5 or 6. Ooh. Still, compared to what he's been doing, this would be the best so far. 9th. Ooh.
Skated away to 9th below the Kreisel. Yeah, when he comes out the Kreisel, you see a bit of a heavy steer into Kehlstein, but you'll take that every day of the week.
10, 6, 4, 5, 7, 9 were his placings in the splits coming down. So into Kreisel, he was huffing it, but here, ooh, look at that right rudder. Yeah, there's a lot of steering there. His right, our left. Back end of the runners. Pretty good. How much ice does he cut there? None. And here's the hit, Martin. Looks like a back end skid going uphill. And then the final 12 to 13. Is he skidding here? Lost time at the bottom. He had it going. Still top 9. He'll take a top 9.
Yeah, he's had a 15th and a 16th of the best results out of his 4 races here. Cody Bascu in the top 10. The field is full, 20 sleds are down, 4 more to go. So now for Jeff Gadbois with Adrian Adams, the veteran, behind him. It is go fast or go home. This is only Gadbois' first time in Königssee. So this is a tough track to get the best out of.
19th best start. Can't start. Tough to make the cut. Especially on a track that demands. Oh, he was really low there. Really low in that second S. That causes all that skidding. He's not in control yet. So
yeah,
head way up.
He needs to have it here.
Ooh, watch out there. Watch out
pressure.
here. I don't like this. Can he get through here?
Yeah.
Barely. Whoa. Well, if you can't win, make it exciting, and I think that's what he's doing. Boy.
Just about in the race at the moment. It is him or Shanwen Stevens of Jamaica, and he's in, and Stevens is out. But Brian Scheimer's face says it all. That was close. Is it enough to stay in the race? Not sure. Yeah.
That's one of the lowest lines. If they show us the S's, that's one of the lowest lines I've seen in a long time. Here's the 4th S, so we won't see it, but he was making his mistake, and the second S caused all this.
Yeah.
And
but the S's are basically one long corner, aren't they? And if you get onto one right, you should be good. But if you get it wrong, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Jeff, don't think you're the Lone Ranger for coming down that straightaway, but he got up there really high in the frosty ice, dived, came back up. I got a little worried about here. Then he comes out, a lot of steering to get out, and, you know, a little late there.
Hey,
the runners spray cutting and
get it down. Look after your brakeman. Everybody knows what it's like to crash. You don't need to repeat the feat. So next up, Yoon Jin Suk of Korea, 18th place in last year's race. This is his first race since Sigulda World Cup in February, because he was pulled out of the World Championships in Altenburg after too many crashes in training.
He's got That's some big unit on the back, I can tell you that. Yuck is large.
Yeah.
But hey, he's hanging in there, Martin, 17th or so.
Well, Jan Kikung, his brakeman, hasn't had a race in 12 months. Yes, they've been down Pyeongchang, but they haven't raced in public. 16th place, 17th place, should make the race, and it's him or Jeff Gadbois.
Yeah.
And he's in, and Gadbois is out. So a 50.5.
So Ivo de Bruin happens to be on the bubble, and I think Ivo's going to be knocked out because the next two guys.
Yeah, it's going to be tight.
One of them won the race here a few years ago, so this is the S's late on that curve. Now watch him drift here after he comes off late and the back end's in a skid. He didn't try to overcorrect, Martin. That was pretty good. Hit here, hit on the left, hit one more time on the back end, his skid. And then here's in the famous labyrinth, the little doodles. Airborne back runner was a lot of air. Beautiful pictures. Fun to watch.
Liz Meyer was saying they're called the doodles because you dipsy doodle through them. That's obviously a North American thing. Is that the same as tiptoe? I don't know. Anyway, as you said, Yoon Jung-won coming up next. Gold medalist here back in 2016. That's 5 long years ago. And on that day, Young Wo-seo, his brakeman, who is here on the sled today, was with him then as well. And in fact, he has been with one on every single one of his 2- and 4-man medal-winning sleds. He's like the Torsten Margis of Korea.
You know, third best start. Different looking sled, Martin. All white, he used to have the nice gold trim on it.
That's right, he did, the gold and the blue. Is this?
Yeah. 3 hits, top 5 speed, top 4 speed. So he's challenging here to get up into the top 6 or 7. See what he can do. Watch it. Ooh, it goes there. Doodles through there. Ooh, comes off that curve with a skid, 9th speed. This is going to be fighting for a top 10, Martin. There it is.
All right.
Well,
back in the World Cup.
De Bruin. Yep.
That's his first international race since the World Championships. So, yeah, he's in the race comfortably, and Ivo is out, which leaves Lamin Dean on the bubble. Lamin Dean or Mikkel Cronin of Switzerland. But Yoon Jung-won, top 10 in his first international heat in 11 long months.
Any runners airborne? No. Total contact with the ice. Here in the graveyard, comes off to the right side of our screen. That's a skid. So we definitely lost time down here in the uphill section. So I agree.
Well, listen, Yoon John, you are back.
Nice to see you.
And that's all that matters.
That's
and for all of them, I'm sure that's all that matters. And Mikkel Cronin, well, this is his 2nd World Cup start with Marco Tanner. Their first World Cup start before was in St. Moritz in February last year. So that's Cronin's only ever World Cup race as a driver. He's done 1 4-man start here because Mikkel Vogt is at the Junior Worlds, of course.
He's a triple jumper, the brakeman. The long jumper, track and field guy. You know, the 13th best start. It's enough to get him into the field if he drives well. Switzerland has always done well on this track. He's way above the cowling, Martin. He should be down another inch. You can only see your eyes. 4,700's back. This is pretty good. This is a top 10. So this is going to put Lamin Dean on the bench. Second best speed
at
in the bottom. The Swiss.
Holy moly,
Swiss
ain't that the line?
Yeah, we'll take
So
that, Peter.
Mikael Cronin is very much in the race, and Lamindine, I'm afraid, is not. So clinging on in 19th place, tied Apache Baumgartner and Suk Yun Jin. And Mikael Cronin makes the cut in some style. The last two sleds down, John, went 8th and 11th in the end.
I can remember one time when Gochi, Reich, and Rohner were 1, 2, 3 in a two-man race here, 2000 or 2001. So the Swiss sleds have always done well on this track.
Well, you could give me a rocket ship. I still got to drive it down, and Francesco Friedrich has done the best job with his rocket sled. He leads by just 0.05 of a second, and all the other interest is around the bronze. Benny Meyer, Justin Cripps, maybe even Oskars Melbardis and Brad Hall and Christoph Harper have some kind of shot at that. It's going to be a very interesting second heat. Could see a lot of movement, especially when we get into the meat of the top 10. And then the final two. Can Lochner overhaul Friedrich and claim his second win of the season? He beat him in the first race in Innsbruck, but that was the only time that Francesco has not claimed a gold medal in the two-man this year. 2 seasons ago, he had the perfect season with 8 out of 8 wins. So far, he's got 10 out of 11. There hopefully will never be another season where a bobsled driver can win more than 10 medals in a discipline. He leads by 0.05. Then Benny Meyer, Justin Cripps, Melbardis and Hall and Harper, I don't know, maybe, but they're battling with Cronin as well. So that's going to be a big sort out in the top half dozen. And Chris Spring is there, and Cody Baskew is there, and Yun Jung Won is there. And then you get the 70s. Friedrich, Dvorak, Heinrich, Gajtukovic. Treichels not far out of that. And then Kibermanis, Stulnev, and the tie that starts it all off, Suk and Baumgartner in joint 19th. Lamindine, Ivo de Bruin, Jeff Gabwa and Shanwen Stevens will be the spectators for the second heat. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew for Heat 2, coming up in a little over half an hour.